From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's. Indescribably good. I'm Aslan. He is Corey Clark. He is indescribably good at what he does. Check out his work out on Warchant.com. You can do so for 50% off. Can you believe that, Corey? All your good work, you're only going to get 50% of what the standard market rate is for that. What do you feel about that?
I'm all right as long as my paycheck is still 100%.
Heyo.
And I'll be honest, I want my stories to more of the masses. I think more people deserve to read my stuff.
I mean, you got into mass communication, right? Not just
exactly right, my man.
piddly-paddly. The Cyber Monday code lives on. It's like a zombie. Use it. Save 50 FSU. Save 50 FSU. Gets you 50% off an annual membership if you are a new subscriber. So take advantage of that while you can. Also take advantage of your local Zaxby's, especially if you're here in the Tallahassee, Thomasville, Mariana, and Douglas, Georgia areas. Those are the best Zaxby's around. By the way, our guy Sabaxley, who calls in, or doesn't call in, but posts the show and tweets at us. I'm like, oh, he's in the one in Thomasville. He was like, no, man, I was actually in the one in Mariana, which I'm like, great, good. Let's go into the same pot. Let's go to the one that's important. So
Right, absolutely.
We appreciate your patronage. We don't charge anything. Somebody's complaining on Renegade Express about back in the day when there were no ads. But, I couldn't buy nice Christmas trees before we got ads. So, we got to pay a price to get all the good stuff that we want in life. That's not that bad. We just tell you about how good the food is for about a minute, and then we get into the Florida State stuff. So, let's follow suit with that. I did not tease this yesterday to not start off with it, so let's go with it, Corey. From Flash FSU, as we finish up the remnants of the Renegade Express, we're going to talk football, I promise. But first, would you rather be the first person on Mars, but know you're going to die there, or be the 13th person on the moon, but nobody really cares? Is it would you for sure die if you go on Mars? Like, is that just part of his question, or is it just there's no way of getting back alive that we know?
I think he's saying that ahead of time you're going to die, but you're going to land on Mars. And I think it's a no-brainer. I'd rather be number 13 because still there's only 12 other people on the planet that have done what you've done. Walking on the moon is still pretty cool, right? Like I can name 2 people that walked on the moon.
Same here.
But if another guy came up to me at a party and was like, "Hey, yeah, I was on the moon in 1971," I'd be like, "Holy crap, man! What was that like?"
Yeah.
Like I still think it works at dinner parties.
Oh, okay, that's true. So
you know what I mean? I still think it's a big enough deal, and I don't want to die on the Mars.
Yeah,
I want to die, and I'll say this right now, and I hope everybody agrees with me. I just want to die on planet Earth.
Yeah.
I don't want to die on another planet, but I certainly don't want to die on Mars.
Yeah, that'd be
the
a
red
bummer.
planet. Get out of here with that. Looks gross. I saw that movie with Matt Damon. Nobody wants to live there.
Planet
But
Rojo.
it's a weird. I don't know why anybody would want to go to Mars to die.
Well, to be the first,
right?
Like Sir Edmund Hillary. There's a whole bunch of other people that have gone up and down Everest, but everybody knows Sir Edmund Hillary. He did it first. There's a lot of cachet with doing it first. So I shouldn't ask you this because you're not a historian to this degree. I mean, you're a bountiful, repository of information and trivia and stuff. So Buzz Armstrong was the first guy to walk on the moon. Like, what was Buzz Aldrin.
Buzz Armstrong, you combined them.
I know, right? Neil Armstrong, represent. First dude. But then what was Buzz Aldrin's claim? Like, was he part of the same expedition, or I feel like he also had some sort of like I did something spectacular?
Well, he was in the capsule with him. He was in the lunar module that landed. So they were both out there on the moon together.
Okay, I got it.
It was just Neil pushed him down and raced down the ladder first.
All right, jerk.
And jumped on it. It's like, hey, that's one small step for man and one giant leap. So
mankind.
Yeah, they were both in the same lunar module. Okay. And the person that you feel the worst for is Michael Collins, is the other guy that was on that the expedition, but he was just circling the moon in his craft. Like there were 3 people on the trip, but he didn't get to go down to the moon. He was like 100 miles up, just circling the moon, watching them, saying, "Hey, what's it like down there?" I feel bad for that dude. He never got to go on the moon. He did all the training, Still had to be in that, still had to be on that 7-day or 8-day, however long it takes to get to the moon and back excursion. But nobody knows him. Like most
I'd
people
never
know
heard,
Buzz
yeah.
Aldrin. Everybody knows Neil Armstrong. Michael Collins could be bagging groceries at your Publix right now. You wouldn't know him.
I wouldn't. I'm sad
Lost
to
to
say
history.
That. That's crazy. What was he doing? Like lookout? Like in case there was aliens out there, he was gonna
Yeah,
like.
in case. I mean, I don't know what he would have done if he saw a huge armada of alien ships coming. He's like, guys, go hide.
Oh man. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess this all is. Yeah. I guess the moon, because then you can come back and brag about it. You're the first person on Mars, but you're not even gonna know how the news is received back home. Who knows if somebody like sends a crazy tweet out and then everybody forgets about you that day, and then you're just lost to history.
And you're just dead alone on Mars. Yeah, that's the thing. If you could come back to Mars, if you come back from Mars, that would be a lot cooler. Obviously, being the first person on Mars. But if you're just gonna die there, you're not. Your name might live on forever, but you won't get to enjoy it. You'll be dead on Mars.
Yeah. All right. There we go. I like that one. All right, let's get to a question of football significance. Woolsey_69. I feel like this is the first time person did not check in with where he's from, but it's okay. We'll let it slide. With Norvell winning the press conference, which I don't think you actually wrote. Did you actually write win the press conference at any point, Corey? Or did you just write it once? I know you air quoted it.
I said I was not going to write about how he won the press conference.
Okay. I'm proud of you. All right, with him doing so, winning the press conference, want to know what is the next thing he needs to accomplish short term and to what degree in order to keep momentum going and start winning over folks that have not bought in. IMO, which stands for in my opinion, he is the real deal until he is not. That's a good way to live life. That's good.
It is. It's a good outlook.
Short term, well, I guess this kind of goes to that off-season benchmarks question that we got from the guy. It doesn't prove acumen or, I guess long-term strategic vision, or maybe it does. I just think he needs to get, and this is because of how everybody keeps coming back to how horrible the offensive line is. The offensive line is terrible. Willie never had a chance at the offensive line. DeAndre, James, whoever never had a chance because the offensive line is so bad. Well, if it is so bad, which it's bad, I don't think it's nearly as ridiculously 119th in the nation offensively bad, which they're not anymore.
Get some like 104th or something.
Get some biggins. I mean, get some JUCO guys. I think Kenny Dillingham, I think, was actually involved in the recruitment of a junior college offensive lineman. Now, he's a big guy. I don't know. Bring him with you. Get some offensive linemen in here to instantly shore up that part, because you're the offensive guy. So even if this defense is going to keep struggling, score 38, 42 points on the regular. That'll really help keep momentum going. But even beyond maybe the offensive line recruiting, get a quarterback, high school quarterback.
That would help. And I think Dilly was on. He was the lead recruiter for 3 JUCO O linemen going to Auburn.
Yeah.
So just get a couple of those guys to come to Florida State. I would say in the short term, short term, I want to see how many of the commitments he can hold on to at Florida State. Wouldn't that be a good sign? Because it would be odd. Like, we all saw what Willie Taggart's team looked like the last 2 years. So if you had committed to Florida State in the last 5 months, you kind of knew what you were committing to. Like, it was a turnaround. It was a project. It was a rebuild. So if he can, so if he can go in and hold on to some of these kids, then I think that's a good sign, right? That they believe in his message. And it's not like he has to have an overwhelming message because they were so blinded by the success of Willie Taggart. Like, it shouldn't be over the top difficult to keep some of these guys in the boat, because they were coming to a program that wasn't enjoying. They had a lot of question marks anyway. It's not like a 2014 Florida State class where they're seeing all this great success. So I would think, does that make any sense? Like, I think it'd be easier to hold on to some of these guys because all of them had question marks going to Florida State. There had to be some healthy skepticism with everybody that had committed to Florida State, whether it was the right spot for them, but they committed anyway. Now, whether they believed in Taggart or not, or just wanted to be a Nole all their lives, if this guy can come in the next week and then in the next, month and a half, hold on to these guys or convince some of these guys to stay, I think that's a good sign. I think that means message, even without a ton of relationship built up, resonates.
So wait, do you think it'd be important to keep these guys that have already committed in tow? But did you say you think it would be easy to keep them just because what they were committing
No, I
to
think it
wasn't
would be
necessarily
easier. It would be easier to keep these guys than it would be, say, if Jimbo just left after 2014,
okay?
and then you have an unknown coming in, for the sense that it's a different kind of kid right now. I hate to say this, it's a different kind of kid right now that was committed to Florida State.
Yeah.
Because they weren't committing to a program that had success, and they weren't committing to a coach that obviously had a clear vision and was establishing a culture. You know, they might have had a relationship with Willie Taggart, but I don't think I'm explaining myself well. I'm not articulating it well, I don't think.
All right. Well, let me ask you, or you want to finish it up, or you want me to ask you a counter question?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I guess maybe the cynic would think that the kids who did commit to Willie either committed to kind of his culture or his vibe. So if Norvell does keep these kids in the class, does that mean that he has a similar kind of vision or feel or vibe or culture he wants to instill?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, let's hope it's different in some areas. I just think that a kid like what's the kid's name from IMG? Griffiths. Yeah, he had committed to Willie Taggart. Well, what he had in that defense? Well, what had he committed to?
He committed to Odell. He committed to Odell, I think. And then, not to denigrate, I'm not taking anything away from Willie, but just in terms of Michael Langston has been talking about Josh Griffiths. His whole thing was as long as Odell was there, he probably would end up in Tallahassee.
Okay, well that's awesome. So it seems like that would be an easier guy to hold on to than if the whole coaching staff had left after wild success. And you're bringing in this unknown that has no real pedigree. You know, this guy right now, in my opinion, has a better resume than Willie Taggart. He definitely does. Has a better resume than Willie Taggart. So if you were okay committing to Willie Taggart's team in his program, theoretically you're hoping to win championships and go to bowls and go to the NFL. You have no real tangible proof with Willie, but you committed anyway. It seems like you would be more adaptable. You would be more willing to stay the course with this new coach, because this new coach might be better than the one you committed to.
Okay, I follow you.
I don't know. I didn't explain it well, but let's see how many of these guys he holds on to. It appears Jeff Sims won't be one of them, though, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And I don't. It almost seems like maybe Jeff was told to go somewhere else.
That's kind of what Michael Langston, recruiting analyst for Warchant.com, has reported in terms of who he spoke to that's close to Jeff. It just sounds like it just wasn't probably going to be a good fit. I don't know if he was told, "Hey, man, don't come here," but more along the lines of, hey, just if you want to come and compete for it, by all means, but just know that this is what I'm looking for. I don't know if that's exactly what we can do together, kind of a thing. So yeah, probably diplomatically told him it's not going to work out. But I hate,
maybe said so much as like, I'm recruiting another quarterback. We're bringing in at least one more quarterback in this class.
Yeah. It's just always tricky with that stuff because, for 7 months, the fan base is clamoring for Jeff Sims to get another star. He's only a 3-star. He should be a 4-star. He's underrated. No one likes Florida State. We're disrespected. And then Jeff Sims does get his 4th star. And then now he's not coming. It's like, well, he really wasn't all that good anyways. If you look at his senior stats, he kind of didn't play all that well. And it's the crazy thing of recruiting that Michael Langston has to deal with on a day-in-and-day basis. So God bless him for being able to handle that nonsense. Tommy Hawk Chop, Corey, says, Merry Christmas. Looks like Santa brought us a coach. Hopefully he fits and does not have to be regifted. Based on the podcast, seems like a good hire. How do you guys see the next couple of years playing out regarding wins and culture change? Well, I think we both aren't too bullish on 2020. I mean, it's a pretty tough schedule, seems like on the surface. Who knows what the roster is going to look like as we sit here and talk to you on December 12th, recording for December 13th. So year one, I mean, you want to see that steady growth. You said week over week. I want to see maybe an upset, at least give us a couple pieces that we can feel good about. I think year two, you have to start off like you did against Boise State in the first half, but then keep that going for, I don't know, at least 6 games. Like get off to a really good start. Now that you look at the way all these teams kind of finished the season, I mean, Florida State should have came out the gate, 4-1, 5-1?
Yeah.
Like get that kind of good start to year two that would keep building on the momentum. You need a couple things, though, year one, I think, on the field to have people hang on to, man. Like upset Florida at home, that would be really awesome. Or win the opener against West Virginia, get some really good momentum kind of started off. So, but I think otherwise, year one is going to be 6 wins. It's going to be a tough sort of stretch to get back to bowl eligibility. And regarding culture change, just maybe I'll hear less music at practice. I don't know how can we determine how the culture has kind of changed. The kids always seemed happy going into practice and never were surly about going to practice, and they always said the right thing. So it seemed like everybody was on the same page and playing hard, and we didn't see a lot of quit in year 2. So it's hard to kind of gauge that, I would feel.
Yeah, I mean, I think culture will be about. I've said it. It does resonate with me. The special teams. If you're a lot better at special teams, I think that's a great sign. And I do think that says something about your culture, that the kids care enough to like not block in the back and compete and block guys and get down on punts. And then, I don't care about the music. I think he does play music. You can practice hard with music playing. I mean, everybody in the NFL, I know they don't practice hard during the season, but in August they do, and they all got music playing. So that doesn't bother me. It's never bothered me. But I do want to see whatever we're able to watch of practice. I feel like we'll be able to tell pretty quickly how different it is, how much different it is, if it is more physical, if there is more coaching, if there is more ones versus ones, if there is more hitting. Like all that stuff, I think adds to culture. As far as what you see on the field, yeah, man, you just want to see a team that's tough, mentally and physically. Physically, obviously, is more important, but not by much, because too many times in the last 2 or 3 years, man, but specifically the last 2 years, when things started going poorly for this team, it just completely went off the rails. And they weren't able to bounce back. They just weren't. And it was not fun to watch. So I want to see if this team maybe takes on the mentality of their coach and is tougher. It is more, battles adversity better. I know those are cliches, but gosh darn it, they're cliches for a reason. Like, be able to overcome some adversity. Florida State doesn't do that. The only time in the last 3 years it seems like that they've really overcome adversity was Boston College game a month ago. That's it. It's the only time in 3 years where it felt like, man, that was a good win. That was cool for them to do that and play hard and make plays. That was cool. Other than that, nothing. So maybe they can build on that a little bit.
Never forget Louisville 2018, man. Get an interception.
That's true. Very good point.
Breaking news that doesn't really involve everybody that's listening, but the bowl practice schedule just came out here, Corey. So it looks like Saturday we're going to be able to talk to Odell, and we'll be able to watch practice for 10 minutes. Awesome.
Oh, all right. Okay.
And practices then will remain closed throughout preparations for them. We'll get to speak to players and Coach Hagan's. We'll speak to players, it looks like, at least 4 times, and then we'll get Odell one final time before it looks like they'll depart to El Paso. But practices,
you looking at those times too?
Oh, yeah. Odell knows. We tried it, Coach. We tried to lobby for you. 1:15 p.m. God bless you. God bless you, Odell. What an amazing man.
So Saturday's 3:45, we get Odell and student athletes.
Yeah.
And then, everything's closed. Well, you don't want to give away any secrets to Arizona State because this is a huge game.
Big one. Big-time game. I did hear, I didn't see it, so I maybe shouldn't speak it because I haven't seen the video evidence of it, but apparently Memphis crowd surfs on the sideline. At least they have once or twice. What does
that mean?
Oh, they got you know how everyone's got those like walk-ons that don't dress out, I think, that dance and get everybody hyped up for the kickoff, like they swag surf, I guess, or whatever. I think there was a game or two where the cameras caught Memphis doing that stuff, and they actually had like one of the guys up in the air like he was at a concert, and they were pushing him down the sideline. So, yeah. But hey, man.
Well, you know what? I think my philosophy on that, and again, Norvell and I will probably meet for a few hours to go over everything, Florida State history, and maybe what the fans want. I feel like I'm a good barometer of what the fans at Florida State want and expect. I wouldn't have a problem with crowd surfing necessarily, but there has to be rules to it. And you can't crowd surf in the first quarter, and you can't crowd surf when you're behind. You can only crowd surf if you've just taken the lead in the second half or if you're up by 3 touchdowns. Because as we all know at Florida State, when this team gets a 3-touchdown lead, that's a wrap. It's over.
Right.
But
Curtains.
there has to be rules in place so you don't. The problem I have with all that stuff, and I don't really have much of a problem with it. It's cool to have fun. In the 90s, the Florida State kick team, I do remember this, like almost every game, because they'd be up by 40 in every game. In the fourth quarter, when the music was playing before they kicked off, they all would just kind of slowly dance as they were waiting for the referee to tell them it was okay to line up to go kick. They would all do these dances, and the crowd went nuts. That's cool. It's fine. But do it when you're winning the game. The reason it looks so buffoonish.
And it's organic.
Well, that helps when it's organic and not just it just seems practiced and rehearsed. But when you do it when you lose the game. Like the other night, Trae Young is awesome. I love watching Trae Young play. My man makes a great pass with a minute left to put the Hawks up 6. And then it's over. He tells the Miami crowd it's over and waves his hands like, go home. It's over. That's a wrap. They give up 22 straight points and lose in overtime by 15. Like that makes him look like a buffoon. Like, say it's over when there's 9 seconds left. You're the Hawks, man. Y'all always lose games like that. You're up 6 with a minute left. Yeah, a normal NBA team would hold that lead. Well, you're not a normal NBA team. You're the Hawks. Of course, you gave up 2 straight 3-pointers to tie the game. Anyway, my point is, do all that stuff. It's fine. It just looks to me buffoonish when you're doing it when you're trailing, or you're doing it in a game that you eventually lose.
I agree. I know. I mean, you're the cool
it's a new
uncle
day,
or whatever
Aslan.
of this show.
It's a new day, man. A lot of these schools are doing this stuff. Georgia has the spiked shoulder pads, and they're a good program.
Well, yeah, the Road Warriors, man. Aren't the Road Warriors Georgians? Hawk and Animal?
Yeah, but I don't think they were UGA, like business school students. Maybe they went to UGA. I don't know.
Actually,
I mean, it's a cool celebration, but it's still a celebration.
On the sideline. And it's cool. It's on a backpack. I'm not saying you can't have fun and play football. Like, there's a really good quote when Rex Ryan does his Hard Knock speech where he's like, now let's go get a damn snack. And he talks about, he's like, can we have fun? He's like, absolutely. He's like, I demand that we have fun. He's like, but we look like a bunch of bleep. And that the team does. Like, I mean, when you're dancing in pregame warm-ups and then you come out and you get steamrolled, when you're swag surfing before kickoff and then you go down the field in 6 plays and hang a touchdown on you, like, these things, stop doing these things. And this kind of goes to maybe one of the things I like about Norvell, and we'll see how much of the stuff he does change. Like, I'm cool having music on when you're warming up, individual periods. But then I think when you get into the crux of your practice, 7-on-7, and you start doing 11-on-11, you got to cut it off. Like, cut it off. Focus. It's time to coach. It's time to listen. It's time to learn. But he talks about the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So, yeah, if you're going to practice, if you're going to warm up weird and make it all loosey-goosey and whatever, man, like, yeah, that kind of stuff, I'm sorry, that is culture to me, man. Those are little things that begin to add up to the overall tenor and tone of the way you want to conduct business. I don't think it's the best way to do it. And I don't know how many of the best programs in the nation do that stuff day in and day out. Yeah, throw a bone in here and there. It's football, man. It sucks. You got to make it fresh and fun for them every now and then. But it shouldn't be a program based on fun. And I don't even know how much of like Dabo's success is that. Everyone keeps saying, "Oh, they're having fun up there, and they're everyone's best friends." I'm sure they are off the field, and he's created a good culture of like brotherhood and stuff. But man, you listen to the way he talks at the podium. He gets upset with the way they talk about the ACC and his team. Man, he's got a little mean streak in him that he doesn't appreciate the way that his team gets talked and downed about. And I'm sure he's not going at practice and be like, you know the way we're going to gain everybody's respect, man. Let's go out there and play like Southern gentlemen. Let's show them that we can have fun, that we can just be a good time, and let's go out there and just play Clemson football. Man, they're going out there and steamrolling people. They're pissed off. They're playing with an edge. They're mad. They're upset. That's the kind of stuff I want to see. We'll see if we get it. I don't know. I just don't know. The Tribe remembers. The question's not even that awesome. I just like that's just a good name. The Tribe remembers. Any word on possibly T-Buck joining the staff? Would be great to see him come home to Tally. Well, there you go. We just put it out into the atmosphere for you. Hope so, but I don't know.
Let's hope. We're crossing our fingers, right? That'd be awesome.
Hamma Slice. Any word on Hamsa and the extent of his injury? Not yet. We'll talk to Odell this weekend. We'll have an answer for you on the Monday edition of Wake Up Warchant presented by Zaxby's. Will Aslan really climb the mountain to get the shot for Corey in El Paso? Is there like is there a specific mountain? Or like what?
I think they're right there by the stadium. I just remember I haven't watched the Sun Bowl in years, but I remember watching it as a kid.
Okay.
I think Georgia might have played in it one year. And there's always a shot of a few people on a mountain watching the game. They're out there on a blanket. I don't even know if they have binoculars. They're just out there on a blanket watching the game from the top of a mountain. Maybe it's just a big hill. Maybe a mountain is too strong a word.
Okay.
But they're out there above the stadium, beyond the stadium, sitting there watching the game.
Okay. I'll try
that shot. That's all I want. That's all I want while you're out there.
Maybe Ira and I will
want you to go to Juarez for a night and just tell me what happens.
I was telling some of the guys when we were interviewing Trent Forrest the other day, which congrats to Trent. He's going to walk this weekend. 3-year graduate. That's awesome. And just talking about the plans to get out there and whatnot. I'm going to go home for Christmas and then fly out from Tampa and rendezvous with Ira out in El Paso on the 26th. But I was, trying to save the company money because that's what I do. I'm a company man. And I'm like, let me just see what it would cost to fly into Juarez. Can't be that bad. Just grab my suitcase as soon as it gets off the carousel and just haul to a cab. And I check Skyscanner, which I think, by the way, folks, they're not a sponsor of the show. But I think of all the ones that I've used in my life, I think Skyscanner.com is probably the best way to find airplane tickets. But again, they're not sponsors, so if you don't want to use them, it's fine. Anywho, there was none. Like, I put my dates in there, and they're like, there are no flights to Juarez. Which is kind of interesting because I'm connecting in Dallas. You'd figure there has to be some flight to Dallas to Juarez. But I couldn't find it because I was like, maybe it'll save us like $150 or so, and I'll do it. I'll live life a little bit. By the way, the guy who has the crazy, not the crazy, but he's got the authentic Native American name for Osceola, the way it's spelled. He sends me a DM on Warchant here. He's like, pronunciation, helping you out with the pronunciation of my handle for the future. Take it easy, LOL. But he doesn't phonetically spell it out, so I still don't know how to pronounce it. Ozzy Yahola. Anyhow. Back to the questions, shall we, Corey? Actually, let's take a break real quick.
At Birch Orthodontics, they know what a difference a beautiful and healthy smile can make in your life.
They take the time to get to know you and perform a thorough exam so that they can make an individualized treatment plan just for you or your child.
They use the latest technology in a warm and comfortable environment. So whether you are interested in traditional metal or clear braces or clear aligners, they can give you the smile you deserve. They know investing in your smile means investing in your future. And at Birch Orthodontics, they are honored to be a part of your smile journey.
Serving Tallahassee for 16 years and supporting the Noles since forever. Check them out at birchorthodontics.com. BURCH orthodontics.com. Welcome back. Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's, as well as, the second part of the show, Dr. Heather Birch.
And shout out to Clark Cameron, who obviously Jeff Cameron's son, who was named after me. No, not Clark. Sorry, Bryce, the older one. Just got braces put on by Heather Birch this week. So that happened on Tuesday, I believe. Monday or Tuesday. So, shout out to Bryce. It's going to be happening to Brady soon enough. I would, 90%, 80% of people in this country have to get braces at some point. But if you're going to get braces, every testimonial I've heard all throughout Tallahassee, that's the place to go.
Good luck on your smile journey, Bryce. Give it hell. Tin Man Knoll. Good morning, gentlemen. Love the show, and I finally figured out how to give the podcast 5 stars. I wanted to remind you both, we have a basketball team ranked nationally in both polls. Do you guys think this team is as good as they look early on? That's your account, Corey. Take it.
My view of this team is what it's always been. It's going to be I think it'll be on the right side of the bubble, but I think you're looking at I know last year they were a 4 seed, and they're actually seeded too low. I thought they should have been a 3 or even a 2 with the way they played at the end of the year. But, you were looking at I think this year, if they get in the tournament, you're looking at probably a 7 seed. I just think the offense still has too much room to grow. I do think they play well defensively. They're a good defensive team, but there are going to be some struggles because of the offense. Like they were down by 6 to Clemson at half, and Clemson's not very good. Now Anthony Polite went crazy on Sunday and hit 4 threes in a row and they ended up winning by 20 or whatever it was. But there are going to be some struggles. I think they'll lose a few games. Maybe they shouldn't. I also think because of their defense, they'll beat a couple good teams that maybe they shouldn't. But I think they're a year away from being elite again, and that's too bad because Trent will be gone because Trent's been a great Florida State player. But yeah, when you look at it, Devin's been good. Devin's their best scorer. Patrick Williams has a lot of potential. Maybe, but the hope is that by February, those two guys will really come into their own. Both be averaging, maybe both of them can get you 20 at some point each once a night. One of them will get 20, the other will score 14. Those two guys really, as good as they've been early, they're going to have to continue to grow because this team will struggle to score if those guys aren't playing well.
I like to see some of these bigs maybe assert themselves a little bit more. Get a little screen and roll.
What happens,
roll
man, is they don't, against some teams, it's just a terrible matchup. Like they can't play the two big centers because they don't move well enough. They like to switch screens, and you can't switch with a 7-foot guy that can't move real well. It kind of bogs down the whole defense. So he'll eventually take them out, and they'll play a bunch of they'll have 3 guards and 2 forwards, and they're going to struggle rebounding. They're going to be good defensively challenging shots, but they're going to struggle trying to get defensive rebounds because they don't have a ton of size out there. I'd also like to see Malik Osborne get better. He needs to become a better rebounder. It's weird that Vassell's probably their best rebounder. He's an incredible athlete. That guy will play in the NBA one day. But it'd be good if Malik Osborne became a bit better rebounder, just became a bigger contributor. He's not playing terribly. He's been pretty decent, but you'd like to see him to start taking bigger steps as well. But I just think they lost so much talent from last year, man. Look at the talent they lost. That I think 8-2 is a great start. That's as good as you could have hoped for with that schedule. But the gauntlet is coming. Like I think there's a stretch where they play Virginia, Louisville, North Carolina, and Duke in a 2-week stretch. I mean, good luck. There will be some hiccups along the way, but I do think at the end of the day, they'll get to 20-ish wins, 18 or 20-ish wins, and be on the cusp of making the tournament and probably be on the right side of it.
Let me ask you this, and it's kind of a lazy question, I guess, but I promise you I'm not trying to be lazy here. But yeah, good grief, man. They got Louisville, and then Virginia 11 days after that. Then they got Miami 3 days after that, and then Virginia again another 10 days. Man, that's going to be brutal. But he works on it. I mean, he told us he works on it when we interviewed him the other day. But the fact that Trent has never seems to have gained any comfort shooting jumpers, like how does that happen? I mean, it's crazy. I would always kind of joke about that on Twitter and stuff during the NBA draft. You'd hear Jay Billis talk about the 6th overall pick in the NBA draft, about huge upside, great rebounding potential, great athleticism, needs to work on his jumper. And it's like, man, how can you be the 6th overall pick in the NBA? And it's like you have to work on your jump shot. It'd be like getting drafted 1st overall as a quarterback to me in the NFL. It's like has to work on his accuracy, has major accuracy issues. Like for as talented, as important as Trent is to this offense, like, does it surprise you that it's never kind of come into his game to have, just to trust himself to even it's like Ben Simmons, it seems like, when it comes to taking a 3-point shot.
Yeah, no, he's made a few. He has made a few in his career. He's made a few this year, and he is shooting, I think, like 31% this year, which is the highest of his career. But yeah, it's surprising a little bit because he's always been a pretty good free throw shooter, and you're only talking about stepping back 5 feet. If you're a pretty good free throw shooter, to me, that should mean that you have the ability to be not a knockdown great 3-point shooter, but to be a capable one. So yeah, it's not like he doesn't work at it. It's just, I don't know, man. Some guys, it never really clicks where you get that comfortable with it. Yeah. But a lot of those guys, when they're drafted 6th overall, they also might be 19. Right. And you got to assume a 25-year-old after 5 years in the NBA practicing every day, his jump shot will be a lot better than it was when he was 19. I also think Trent his whole life has gotten so many points in the paint. He's just so good in the paint and around the basket. He scored 3,000 points in high school.
Right.
So right. There would be playoff games where he'd score 44 of his team's 55 points. So he can score. It's just that, I don't think that was ever a really big part of his game. I think it was always he was bigger and more physical and more athletic than everybody, and he'd get to the basket. And Yeah, and he's played with a lot of really good shooters too. And I think you'd like, okay, you'd rather PJ shoot that or MJ shoot that than him shoot that. But yeah, it'd be really cool if he was even Terrence Mann. Like Terrence Mann was never a great shooter, but his last year and a half at Florida State, he turned himself into one where, man, if he was open, he was going to knock it down, and he shot it with confidence.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it's just never really taken with Trent, but he does everything else so well. We don't want to kill him too much.
No, absolutely not, man. Trent is incredible kid, man. What an incredible ambassador for the university.
And yeah, really, congratulations that he graduated in 3.5 years. I didn't realize he had a 4.3 GPA in high school.
Yeah,
which is a little higher than what I had.
Right. And he's already been accepted into the Florida State Sports Management grad program, which is top 5 in the nation. I think top 3, he said. So congrats him. It's incredible, man. It's awesome. Trent's the best. We love him. This question comes from, well, actually, we're not going to read the question because they answer their own question, but they did shout us a question. So WB Anna Tyne, I don't know if it looks like a husband and a wife. I don't know if they share the account or what, but they had a question about Jeff Sims. I'm just really happy because it was about a paragraph, and then they ended it with, did you see how I actually spelled everyone's name out instead of using CMN, like the acronym, Coach Mike Norvell.
Ah,
so,
good. Absolutely.
There you go. So that's why you get red, even though we didn't talk about your question. But yeah, Jeff Sims, he gone. But everything will be all right in the end. Jambo Fisher. Oh, no, Jambo Fasher. So it's Jimbo, but with A's instead of I's. What it do, gentlemen? Wake up. If you had to put your personal money on who the starting quarterback is week 1 next season, is it A, James Blackman, B, Brady White, C, the field? Thanks for everything you guys do. Go Noles. Personal money. The field is just, there's so many options. You kind of have to take the field, right? I love James, but I think I'd say C, the field.
Yeah, it'll be. Man, I'm going to say Blackman, but I don't like that answer.
I like it. I like the answer. I hope it's James.
Well, I mean, I do think he's going to make it very clear that Blackman has not earned or won anything. And I do think the quarterback room is going to look different, and it's going to be his guy. 1 or 2 of these guys will be his guys that are brought in. It could be a grad transfer. I know that kid is a redshirt junior at Memphis, but I mean, I don't know that you would leave Memphis right now with 1 year to go play at Florida State. I mean, you're going to the Cotton Bowl. Meanwhile, Florida State's 700 miles away in El Paso. So I think maybe at this point you just stick it out in Memphis. Unless you're just looking for a new challenge, but I do think he's going to bring in a prep guy. He might bring in a transfer that's not Brady White, and those guys. James is going to have to play really well in the spring and really well in August to win the job. I truly believe that. I think Norvell might. I don't know, man. We'll see. I think Blackman is what he is. He's okay, but
yeah, maybe,
Mike Norvell isn't looking for okay.
Well, maybe James Blackman fits better what Norvell wants to do. I mean, it does seem like his quarterbacks are asked to kind of stay in the pocket and make more reads and maybe not stretch the offense vertically as much, but, just James doesn't have to maybe worry as much about the RPO game kind of stuff. He can just kind of focus on being a quarterback and throwing the ball and distributing it. Maybe it'll work out better. I don't think a prep quarterback is coming in here and starting over him. I think it would have to be a grad transfer. So that's why I say the field. Who knows, man? Like USC's got 3 good quarterbacks. I feel like Southern Cal does. Maybe they pluck one of those guys away. I think,
maybe that Clemson guy with the crazy last name leaves.
Fomachana, but I don't know. But he wouldn't be eligible immediately. I think like Jake. I mean, I'm just throwing names out. These aren't by any means. There's no sourcing behind it or smoke or anything. But Southern Cal's got a glut of quarterbacks. I think South Carolina, Jake Bentley announced that he's going to transfer. I don't think he's found a home yet. I think he's an immediate eligible guy. I think he'd be a grad transfer. I mean, I think maybe Norvell can get a guy like that. But then this last crop of grad transfers outside of Jalen Hurts, and who knows how much is Jalen Hurts and how much is just Lincoln Riley being Lincoln Riley. But Kelly Bryant at Mizzou didn't really work out all that well. Tate Martell did nothing for Miami. Alex Hornibrook didn't do a whole lot for Florida State. Nick Starkel didn't do anything for Arkansas. It was not a good sort of year of the grad transfer quarterback. So I'm gonna ride with I'm gonna die on Blackman Hill, so I'm ready for it. I don't care, man. He's absolved of all the shortcomings of this team in my eyes, mainly. So Georgia Noles 86, wake up! He's got 7 exclamation marks or 9 and caps on the wake up. Is it me or did Norvell sound like a politician running for office during his opening press conference? It was a cadence. It was different than what we'd grown accustomed to here in the last year. There was a little bit of salesmanship and a lot of oomph. I don't know if he was maybe told, show a little bit of that. We kind of value that around here, or we didn't see a lot of it in the last 19 months, but I don't know. Politicians got that kind of pejorative sound to it, but he was fired up, man, and he had that thing mapped out and planned out the way he wanted to deliver all of his zingers and stuff. So there was a little bit of nice polish to it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I mean, politician, preacher, whatever you want to use. I mean, that's the time to sound like that. You are selling yourself to your constituency. So that's the time to sound like a politician. But yeah, I thought he sounded like he knew what he was talking about and had a real plan and a real vision. So that was cool enough for me. But yeah, of course, those if it's done well, if the press conference is done well, they're supposed to kind of sound like that. That's what Jimbo had a little bit of that. Willie had a little bit of that. Norvell had, in my opinion, a lot more of that than those two guys did in their opening press conferences. But also the thing that impressed me a lot, I don't know if maybe there were notes and I didn't see them, but it sure seemed like he just said all that stuff off the cuff. Like he wasn't looking down a lot that I saw, and I know there weren't teleprompters behind me.
Right.
So yeah, that was that was all like, I don't know how much he had rehearsed it, but yeah, I thought he did. I thought he did really well in that setting. But we all know that it doesn't. What matters is what he's going to do on the field that was 4 stories below, not what he did in that room that day.
I didn't do research on, but I did see a thread like earlier in the week about that's crazy. Like what amazed me the most was that he wasn't reading off any notes. But then somebody replied and they're like, yeah, there were notes. Did you not see the notes? He put them on the podium. So there's a back and forth. I didn't go back to see one way or the other because I really didn't think that was that big of a deal.
Maybe they were just bullet points.
Yeah, but either way, I mean, I think he came off well. And to your point, yeah, you can't go up there and be like, well, everybody. I think he did a good job of not kind of setting any crazy expectations for success, but just kind of outlined his vision. I think that's the time to do those sort of things because people would get on me about, what do you expect Willie to say? We're going to suck. And it's like, no, man, I don't expect you to go up there and tell people you're going to suck, but I also expect, tell people that, this isn't a rebuild. This is a realignment or, we got all these war daddies and mutants and, we're going to be great. And then he says this year, you're going to be proud of the team every single week. I promise you that. And I don't think a lot of people were proud of the team every week. So I think he did a good job of tempering the message. We went a little bit off the cliff at the basketball game, but whatever, man. You're going to do that. And I don't even think it was that big of a deal. He said, we're going to bring championships back here. Of course, yeah, that's what people want to hear. Give him red meat. He did. I got no problem with any of that.
Absolutely.
Georgia Noles has 2 other questions. What time do you think Norvell starts practices? Will he keep the Nole drill? Sounds like it's probably going to be morning. I would not assume that the Nole drill will be there. But who knows? And then he asks,
I would think not. I would think he's got his own way to kind of get the guys fired up for the morning practices, but I don't think it'll be that.
And then he asks, over under 3, how many underclassmen do we lose to the NFL draft? He'll take the under, which actually is the push, because he says Terry, Akers, and Wilson will come back one more season. What?
Well, no.
Oh, wow. Oh, no, he did take the under. Geez, so no one's going then? Yeah, over under 3.
No,
I would
Marvin's
push.
Definitely gone.
Yeah,
Cam's got to be close to gone. I mean, he's a running back. They don't have not a lot of miles on their bodies. Go get paid while you can. Yeah. Look at Devontae Freeman. He left after his junior year and was drafted in the 3rd or 4th round, which might be where Cam Akers is drafted. But and his body's starting to break down or has broken down. Like he's barely played the last 2 years. But he went and got paid because he started his clock earlier. So he became a free agent earlier. So he got that money earlier. That's what you got to do as a running back, man, especially one that gets used as much as Cam Akers because you only got so many carries in your body unless you look like Jerome Bettis. So go get paid, because by 28 or 29, you're probably not playing football anymore. So I would tell any junior running back that's going to get drafted to go. As far as Terry's the one that we don't know, but Marvin and Cam to me are definites.
No one talks about it because I know he hasn't had a good career, but I do wonder if Stanford Samuels would think about leaving. He was so highly recruited. Who knows if his dad's going to be kept on as an analyst kind of thing. Maybe it's just time. And, we'll have to see how the defensive staff shapes up. I would not advocate on him leaving early, but you never know. He might think that he's going to test out well, and he's just ready to start playing pro ball too. So that's another name that no one really kind of talks about. But I would assume he's coming back, but it wouldn't surprise me to see that he was leaving. But I would probably push at 3. Do 2.5, I would take the over though. But 3.5, I would take the under. You guys need to put the hook on your over-unders, by the way, everybody. You got to put the hook on it. Nole Nation 386. Wake up! I remember the good old days before we had all the advertisement on the podcast. Aslan would do a great job with the music selection between segments. Bring that back. All right. It just makes more music I have to go find for everybody. I don't want to put lackluster music on the show.
Well, but back then we were on terrestrial radio too, right?
We were, yeah.
So we had to have segments.
Well, no, we had a whole bunch of advertisements when we were on terrestrial radio, but then podcast.
But not if you were listening to the podcast version of that show.
Right, correct.
Right, you wouldn't hear the advertisements that everybody else in the radio would hear. You would just hear the intro and outro music, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but now we're just a podcast, not just a podcast. I don't want to just be dismissive. We are a great podcast.
Fantastic.
That's not bound by the rules of terrestrial radio. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so you only play really music once or twice, right?
Yeah, really just once, just the start of the show between segments.
But also, guys, we got to pay the bills. Mm-hmm. Like we did Seminole Headlines for like 4 or 5 years, and it was a pretty popular show, and didn't have any advertisers at all. Not because there weren't people out there, we just didn't go and get them. And now we do have a couple, Birch among them, and it's been awesome. It's really cool to have money for doing something that people like. And we're not going to ever charge you guys to listen to the show.
Well, hey, we never know.
Okay, that's true. Maybe we will. Maybe we'll do like an After Dark a couple times where you'll tell everybody what was on that tattoo. And we'll have maybe once a month we'll have a premium After Dark where it's $1 to listen. But more often than not, you're going to get to listen to this for free. But we're a pretty popular show right now. We want to be able to, it's a capitalistic society. We want to make money off that. I want to be able to send Brady to college.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Not that he's going to need money; he'll get a scholarship, but still, it's good to have that money for, just life insurance policy for when I pass away. Brady can be taken care of.
Oh, geez, stop that talk! Stop that talk! You both are going to ride off onto the sunset. You'll be like 135.
Hey, maybe we'll go to Mars together.
The questions are: do you think Warren Thompson will still be with the program after the whole thing with his mom going off on Facebook about Willie?
I think Warren Thompson might be looking just for a fresh start somewhere else. Didn't seem like he was enjoying his time in Tallahassee that much. But anything is just a guess. I don't know him personally. I would be surprised if he came back, but that's just a guess.
Well, I think he used a red shirt already, and I'm pretty sure he's not graduating in 2 years or 2.5 years. That's like unheard of. So his best bet is to probably stay here if he does want to play football. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I think, although, Dugan's is still here. I don't know what his relationship was like with Ron, but you got a new head coach, new offensive scheme. Why not, start anew here rather than go somewhere and sit out for another year and you're pretty much going to go 3 years without playing football. That's a kind of tough pill to swallow. And they could sure use him, especially if Tamorian Terry goes to the NFL. Do you think Alex Hornibrook travels with the team for the bowl game, or has he already moved on? I don't know.
That's a good question.
We'll ask Odell. I would imagine he's still with the team. That didn't work out really well for Everett Golson leaving the team early. I don't know. I don't think Alex's NFL prospects are as high as he was hoping probably when he enrolled in college. So it's not like he has to go get ready for the combine. Yeah, go out there, man. Go to the bowl game. Who knows? If James takes a bad hit or if his helmet gets knocked off, you got to go in there for a snap and maybe you throw a 60-yard touchdown and then whoever's calling the offensive plays is like, let's roll with it. Keep him out there. Let's do this. Last question. Do you think the team will travel to IMG in the offseason, or was that just a Willie thing? I think that's they're not doing that anymore.
I think that was a Willie thing, and it was a 2-year commitment, and those 2 years are up. So again, don't know anything firsthand, but I would be surprised if that happened again.
Thanks for providing us with the best Seminole info in the land. Keep up the good work, Corey and Aslan. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Keep listening.
Yeah, for sure. Seminole Maniac 1984, yo. Why do you guys think Norvell is not over his head like Willie? I see too many comparisons. No defense, low in the penalty rankings, hiring his friends. I never wanted him. I still don't. Might be a nice guy, but so is Willie. See, that would be good to do Warchant after dark. And then you could pay $1, and then I could just... People keep tagging me in threads. They think that I'm holding back because of the blowback I got last time when Willie got hired, and I wasn't too, overly enthusiastic. Might be some truth in that. I think I'm always trying to be honest. Why don't you think he's over his head? Did we ever say Willie was in over his head?
I might have said that once. I might have. It might even been a slip of the tongue. It came off the first year. It looked like Willie was in over his head because of the hires he made and just the way the team looked. Like there was just no cohesion. There was no plan.
Was bad.
There was no answers for anything anybody did. Like Syracuse, you just can't move the ball, but you're just going to keep calling the same plays over and over and over again. You have a receivers coach that don't want to be there. They don't want to be doing that. Just a lot of little things. Yeah, we don't know, man. I mean, it's hard to answer that. There are some similarities. Obviously they both had their success, kind of made their names in the AAC. I will say this, that I believe Willie Taggart won 8 games twice in his career, maybe just once.
Twice.
I think maybe South Florida they went 8-5 and then 10-2.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so he did it twice. This guy's done it every year he's coached. He didn't have the dips that Willie had. He didn't have to make these incredible this enormous change to his offense in the middle of the season to avoid getting fired like Willie did. He has an offense that he believes in. That he also was an OC at Arizona State under Todd Graham, who was respected enough to be a head coach at 3 different places. Got his tutelage under Gus Malzahn, who say what you want, does know what he's doing offensively. So there are some similarities because he made his name in the AAC. And, yeah, great, you won 12 games in the AAC. I get why people would roll their eyes at that. But his career before this year is just better on paper than what Willie's career was before his 10 wins at South Florida. It was. So that to me gives me a little more hope. And again, the fact that the assistant coaches, I'll keep coming back to that. He kept getting assistant coaches poached from him by bigger schools, and his team just kept getting better, even because of it. You know, he had to get a new offensive coordinator, new special teams guy, new linebackers coach, a new DC, and his team just kept getting better, which means he's, in my opinion, he's better at evaluating coaching talent than Willie Taggart was. But yeah, it looks like his first 2 hires, his OC and his DC, are guys that are just his guys. That to me, it's a little bit of a, not the OC. I don't really care about that hire that much because we all know Norvell's the OC. The DC is still one that gives me a little pause because it's like, man, is this, I know he did a good job at Memphis, this guy, but is this really the best that Florida State can get? Like, are you really broadening your search? Are you really giving it a Florida State caliber search? Florida State could have done so much better than David Kelly at receivers coach, or Raymond Woody at linebackers coach, or obviously Harlan Barnett. But I don't think we minded Harlan Barnett's hiring at the time. He was a Michigan State co-defensive coordinator, but it just seemed like Willie settled on his friends when it's like, man, it's Florida State. You got a bigger pool, you got a bigger pond to fish in, man. There's some really good coaches out there. Make sure you're getting really good ones. And now his second hire and his most important hire is a guy that was his DC for 1 year at Memphis. That gives me a little pause, right? I think it's okay to be skeptical about that hire. I'm not going to sit here and say it's a terrible hire. Who knows? But I think it's okay to be skeptical about that hire. But I do think Norvell in these 4 years has accomplished more than Willie did when he came here. But that's it. That's the only real difference to me.
I mean, it's not
Hello?
a problem.
Is this thing on?
Yeah, you're there. This is the problem. I always have these points I want to make, but then you're in the middle of yours, so then I have to sit here and be quiet until you're done with yours. And by the time you're done with yours, I forget mine.
Go.
It's not a problem hiring your friends as long as they're good coaches. Just Willie's guys just were not really – they weren't great recruiters. They weren't great teachers, and they didn't really work out to being good coaches. But, you know, it was fine at the time. We gave him sort of benefit of the doubt. I think, like, Norvell is all this sort of – crazy enough, advantages that Willie had. People were so upset with the way that Jimbo left and the breath of fresh air that Willie was, and he's a nice guy, and yada, yada, yada. That doesn't, I don't think it matters to people as much anymore, to his sort of thing. You know, he might be a nice guy, but so is Willie. I think some of that kind of goes out the window, and then he doesn't have the benefit of the doubt of, hey, you know, listen, I know we're coming from a different level of football, but I believe in these guys. People are going to be skeptical because we just saw the same thing kind of happen with Willie, which begs to the question, why don't we think Norvell is over his head the way that we did Willie? Well, he hasn't coached a game yet. We haven't even seen him practice yet. I mean, I think the doubts for me start. I did not want to see Jimbo leave. I don't really care about my coach being a nice guy. Clearly, I hope people have picked up on that. I don't. I think niceness is a good thing in humanity, but not necessarily. I don't need that in my head coach. It doesn't make me feel any better. So he has the ability now to try to get this thing on track in the way his image is and the way he wants this thing to be. So let's see how he's gonna actually execute the practices and his game plans and things like that. But it does feel this wasn't the best first step at all, for sure. It just it's hard to imagine a guy that made gradual improvements to Memphis is going to be able to do what gradual improvement is going to do for Florida State's defense. I know you've mentioned it, Corey, that this defense just needs to go from being terrible to just decent, which would be a gradual improvement. But it's not the best sort of feeling when it's that resume.
More than that, man, just he was only there for a year, I think, and he's only been a DC for 2, and he's in his, he graduated college, I think, in the late 90s, so he's been in this game now for this racket for 20 years, and he hadn't ascended at a rate that maybe a Florida State DC should have ascended. And when you look back, and again, I hope I'm 100% wrong in questioning this. I hope this guy is the next, Dick LeBeau.
There we go.
But going old school there. But the most important hire Jimbo Fisher made in his entire tenure at Florida State was Mark Stoops, who he had no connection with. He just hired the guy. Like he went out and got who he thought was the best defensive coordinator for Florida State. Not a buddy, not a guy that he knew, not a guy that he had seen do good things at LSU for a few years or Auburn or wherever. He went and got Mark Stoops. And now people might say, is that really his most important hire? Well, Florida State from 2010 to 2012 got so much better defensively. Mm-hmm. Jimbo was loading the roster with really good players, but he had a guy that knew what the flip he was doing on defense. And in 2012, when the defense was the strength of the team, and in 2011, the defense was the strength of the team. They went from 2009, which was horrific, to by 2011 being one of the top 15 defenses in the country, in 2012 being one of the top 10 or 8 defenses in the country. And then that started the ball rolling and got you 13 and 14 and got all those more good players to come. But that stabilized the program more than anything, because the offense in 2012 was the same offense in 2009. Like, the offense didn't make really any strides from Jimbo's first year to his third year. The defense was what changed everything.
That Clemson game was pretty good. They were pretty good on offense. 2012, they were pretty good on offense against Clemson, I feel like.
They had moments. They also, against Virginia Tech, they won that game, but they rushed for like minus 20 yards.
That's
against
true.
Florida, they were awful.
They were.
NC State, they were awful.
They were.
There were moments. Yeah, it was overall, it put up a lot of yards and a lot of points, but in big moments, it wasn't great. But even still, that 2009 offense before Ponder got hurt was really good. Mm-hmm. Very similar. Those offenses, the offense didn't take a huge step in those 3 years. It was just Jimbo's offense. But the defense became a whole different thing altogether. It was such an important hire. And Jimbo knew it. Jimbo knew the defense had to get fixed. He was going to bring in players, sure, but he had to have somebody that he could trust to really coach them. And Mark Stoops was, and also Mark Stoops had ties to the University of Miami. He had been at Miami, so he had ties to big time recruiting, and he had ties to big time recruiting in Florida. And now so that was a huge deal. And now you're going to a guy that has none of that. That doesn't mean it won't work. I'm not saying it will, but man, you're at Florida State. There are a lot of really good defensive coordinators around the country that are jumping up on their tippy toes with their hands in the air. Like, pick me, pick me, pick me. And then you went to the guy that was right down the hall. That to me is a little concerning, but again, I don't want overall. I really do. That just looking at his record, looking at what people say, looking at his resume, I do believe that this guy will do a good job here. I don't want to be Debbie Downer and poo-poo it. That DC hire, if that's who the hire ends up being, and he's already changed his Twitter profile, so
Yeah.
with a Florida State background, so I'm thinking it'll be official any day now. That doesn't, it just doesn't excite me as much as another DC might have.
Let's do two more because we've already hit an hour. Can you believe that? Time flies.
Man, how
when
about
you're
that?
having
What a
fun.
week.
What a week. And we're not going to get to all the questions. Maybe we'll finish them out on Monday or something, or I'll just have to start being mean and not be nice and just not read everybody's questions, and we'll have to live with that. J. Reyes Jr. 0224. I'm pretty sure that's his PIN code, Bank of America, if you guys want to do some
Good,
work.
man, that's good to know. So if you see him and you can knock him on the ground and get his wallet, you're good to go.
Sup, fellas? Here's my obligatory wake up. This is my first Renegade Express post. I have no question. Just wanted to say I love the podcast. I listen every single morning. I'm a Nole living in San Antonio now, originally from Orlando, but I might make the 8-hour drive to El Paso to see our squad. 8 hours, also known to Corey Clark as just a trip around the corner. Hopefully this will be the last chance I ever get to see the team in the mountains of Tejas. Keep up the awesome work. Go Noles. And where's the one I was going to end off on? Yeah, let's go to Gibson72. We mentioned him on the show the other day. He gave the shout-out to the Zaxby's Cobb salad with the honey mustard. Wake up with the Air Force. Reveille playing in the background. Air Force veteran of 25 years and counting, and y'all rock every morning. Kudos to the coaching coverage and tons better podcasts than others. Norvell was an awesome hire, IMHO, which means in my humble opinion. Question, with Taggart going to FAU, does this make FAU the Institute for Wayward Coaches now? For real, what does this mean for the FSU buyout, and will this push Kendall into a coordinator job at Ole Miss instead of a head coaching job somewhere?
I already have an answer for that. Obviously, thank you for listening to both of the last two questioners. That sounded really sarcastic. I didn't mean it to. It was heartfelt. As much as I can be heartfelt, it just doesn't come across. But it really was. Apparently, just looking at Twitter, it's all but official. This is from Ryan Bass, who is, let's see who he is.
Sports anchor in Tampa, Florida.
Oh, there you
Television
go. You got it.
Yeah.
Expect announcement from Ole Miss this afternoon that Lane Kiffin has hired UCF offensive coordinator Jeff Lebby for the same position in Oxford.
Yeah, so Kendall, who'd have thunk, man? Golly.
Hey, maybe he goes with Taggart. I mean, they got that thing rolling this year. Maybe they just want to take their talents to Boca Raton.
Maybe. That's crazy. Who'd have thought Kendall, in the predicament he's in now? I don't know what jobs are out there that he would really kind of gravitate towards. Is FAU the Institute for Wayward Coaches now? It gives you the ability. Well, somebody asked us, what's the likelihood that Willie's going to get a Power 5 coaching job? And I think Corey left the door open. I was like, absolutely no way. I'm like, I don't see how he's going to get a Power 5 job. Because also, I don't think Willie would. I don't know if Willie wants to go live in, Waterloo, Iowa, or if he wants to go live in, Corvallis, Oregon. He might want to go live in Tempe or Tucson. He's a Florida boy, so am I. I wouldn't want to go to any of those places. I'd go live in Arizona, though. But, getting a head coaching job at a pretty decent group of 5 program, 37 days after you got fired, I think shows that you probably do have the option to get back in this game. And I don't know what the roster looks like, but that's a team that's won 2 conference titles in the last 3 years. You can do that a few more times. Maybe the opportunity to get back into the Power 5 coaching ranks will be there. I would be very surprised. I have to obviously probably give it a little more credence now because of just him getting a head coaching job so quickly, because I just didn't know, what are you hiring him based off of? I mean, you can't hire him off anything that he did at Florida State unless you just think that Florida State was an absolutely impossible reclamation project that nobody could done. Which a lot of people
nobody thinks that.
Well, no, there's a lot of people that do. I mean,
nobody can coach at Florida State.
Well, no, I think there's people that thought there's no way anybody could have done any better than what Willie did in 21 games. Like that was just what it was going to be like, and people didn't give him a fair shot.
I mean, no.
Look at my
I'm sure there are people that
notifications.
think that, but that's obviously incorrect. That's false.
Yeah. But for the buyout, on the serious note, yeah, there is offset language. I did pull up the letter of agreement that he signed back in 2017. So whatever money he gets from another when he secures employment at another institution, which he has at FAU, that will offset the money that Florida State owes him. That is in the event that he did not do a lump sum buyout, which we have not heard he did. So basically, however long that buyout window is, as long as he's working within that buyout window, for every dollar, we don't. That's the thing. We don't know if it's a 1-to-1 buyout. If it's like for every dollar he gets at his next job, that's one less dollar they have to pay out. But for however long he is working and getting money, that is less money that Florida State has to pay him out. So I'm sure there's people at Florida State that are happy for him, just professionally, but also, hey, any little bit of financial relief, and we haven't seen the. I don't think they've released the contract, but I don't think he's going to get paid a whole lot of money, because they know he's on the buyout, just the same way the Florida State did it with Ron Dugans. But yeah, there is that. So everybody wins, I guess.
And by the way, we just got we're recording this. They just sent Norvell's contract.
Oh, they did.
So I'm not great at reading contracts. I didn't go to law school, so I'm trying my best. But it looks like, if I figured it out, it looks like he will be making. Let's see. He makes $215,000 per year by the university.
Base. Yeah.
So add that $215,000 to what I'm about to tell you.
Okie dokie.
So year one, he'll be making $3.535 million. So what does that come up? That's 3.75.
Yep.
Year one. Year two, it goes up to about $4 million. Year three, $4.3 million. Year four, 4.6. Year five, 5.1. In year 6, 5.1. So it's an escalating contract, which to me makes sense, because if he's still at Florida State in year 6, then 5.1 is probably the going rate for a guy that's obviously done pretty well to still be coaching you at year 6.
Yeah, so that's like 6 years, $25 million or something. So like a little bit over 4 per season he's making on average.
Yeah, about that. It looks like, yeah.
Again, that does have to. I think that has to maybe, at least for me, that buys some patience that the guy's going to be making $3.75 million in year one, as opposed to $5 million, replacing a guy who just won a national title who was making $5 million.
And do you want to know what the buyouts are?
Sure, Corey.
So if I'm reading it correctly again, and again, it's a big caveat there. So if he gets fired during year one, it's $5 million.
What?
Year
That's
2,
it?
4, year 3, 3. I mean, that's what it looks like.
That's amazing. So it's not even fully guaranteed. It's not like he just signed a 6-year, $25 million contract and it's just he's going to get all it. Just if he keeps it for 6 years, he's going to make $25 million. But if he gets fired, he's only going to get a $5 million buy, and then it goes down $1 million.
Oh, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
It's if he takes another job.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, if they fire him without cause, he's getting paid, just like Willie got paid, just like everybody gets paid when they get fired without cause.
A coaching position at another college or for a coaching position in the NFL, coach agrees to pay and the university agrees to accept $5 million if it's after year
Bold.
1, 4 if it's after year 2, 3
Bold.
if it's after year 3.
Look at that. Look at the FSU administration. Way to step up to the plate, guys. Way to not put that in maybe Jimbo Fisher's contract. But Mike Norvell, which the Sharks.
What were the odds he'd leave for that Cal college?
The Sharks are going to be swimming around Mike Norvell in 18 months to try to get him to go coach the Steelers after Mike Tomlin retires after winning a Super Bowl this year. So good job.
Hey man, you don't know. Yeah, I would think they might restructure that contract and that happens. I mean, it happened with Jimbo after every year there was another new contract. But if he does do well in 2021, they're gonna try their best, I'm sure, to get that buyout a little higher in case somebody else comes calling for him.
I mean, that sounded really facetious, and I was being facetious, but you do need to have something like that in a contract. So it is good that they actually have learned from the past mistakes, if you want to call them that. And there is some sort of financial protection for the university in case he does leave. So, hopefully it doesn't come down to that. But it'd be nice to have that, because if he's successful and somebody else takes him away, it'd be nice to know that you have $4 million to help you get the next search started or add to your assistant coaching pool. So that's good. All right. That's crazy. I still can't believe it, though, Corey. And I know we're going really long here. I just cannot believe you would come here, and it's the same thing with Lane Kiffin. In what line of employment? I know they're not Bob Stoops, and you can't give all these guys Bob Stoops money, but to take over at a place and knowing that it's just so crazy. Like, that's why nobody talks about money at work. Like, nobody wants to know how much everyone's making, because then it affects the way that you think your work is being valued. Like, Willie Taggart's making $5 million a year. He's making $5 million a year. You're making 1.25. You're making $1.25 million and a quarter less. Like, that's just crazy to me. Obviously, it doesn't bother me. He signed the contract. But to me, that's just crazy that these coaches are taking contracts. Coaches that came from good places, they were happy doing good, and they're stepping up, obviously, on the ladder, but they're fine with making less than what just kind of they have to fix up after. It's bizarre. Crazy.
Well, yeah, but he also, you heard that contract. By year 5, he'll be making what Willie made, and he'll probably making a lot more. He knows that if he gets them to like a New Year's Six bowl in the next 2 or 3 years, man, he's going to be making more than $5 million. Florida State will take care of him. They'll sign a new extension where he makes a lot more money. But also, I mean, he also is a coach, man. He knows the business. Willie Taggart was hired from Oregon. He's hired from Memphis. These are different animals. And so, and he also just doubled his salary at least. I think he probably tripled it.
No, he was
making as far as guaranteed money.
No, he was making close to 2 at Memphis.
No, but what was the contract? Like, what he's right now guaranteed, what do we say, $25 million?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't guaranteed that at Memphis. So, I mean, he's
doing
all right.
5-year, $13 million contract.
Yeah, so there you go. It's right at doubled his salary. So yeah, I don't think he's going to be like, well, wait, you were paying Willie this. I think he understands the marketplace and the job. This job is a weird job, but they went and paid Willie because they were trying to get Willie from Oregon. And Oregon's a big school with a lot of money, so you had to offer him similar pay. But the Memphis coach, man, you don't go from Memphis to be making $7 million. Now you could say I want $5 million or nothing, and then I think they go, all right, well, enjoy the AAC, man.
No way.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I don't think Florida State was going to go like $5.5 million for Mike Norvell.
Well, then who would they have gotten? Who would they have gotten if he says no?
Somebody else. But I don't think Norvell had the leverage in the situation. I mean, he did and he didn't, but only to a certain point, because Florida State is selling Florida State. It's not just a paycheck. It's not Texas A&M that has no history of anything. And so you better pay a boatload to get a good coach there. It's Florida State, man. They'll be like, look, you have a chance to get on one of the top 10, 12 programs in the country and lead it. And then how much money are you going to be making when you're 48? Or you can bicker about not making as much as the previous guy and then stay at Memphis. And then who comes calling next year? Who knows? What are they going to offer you? And you have a chance to win at Florida State, man. Win big. Everybody but one coach has done it. It's been 3 coaches in the last 40 years. Only one didn't win a national title. All I'm saying. So odds are Norvell's going to win a national title, probably 2.
Only makes sense.
And the money will pay for itself. He'll be rolling in money. He'll be bathing in 50s.
All right.
They still make $50 bills?
I think so. Yeah, I have $50 bills. I've seen $50 bills.
Oh, dude. I mean, I see hundreds all the time because obviously I roll with hundreds, but I don't really ever have 50s.
Yeah, man. Ulysses S. Grant. He's still on it. He's on the $50 bill. I see him all the time.
There you go, Grant.
All right, we're done. There's a lot of good questions still in here. We'll probably get to them on Monday, so we have something to talk about coming off the weekend. But who knows? Over under Corey 0.5 or no 1.5, 1.5. Over under coaches that will officially be announced. Not even officially, but just coaches added to the staff. Not even an official, but just, official for us in the business that we know that it's happening, even if there's not a press release.
Until we talk again,
Yeah.
I will say over.
Okay. All right, because, Fuller is going to be one, so that we're already there. Then it'd have to be another guy, so we'll see how it goes. We'll be back on Monday, everybody. Have a great weekend. He's Corey Maslon. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's.
If you want an adventure, you could climb a mountain or ride dune buggies through the desert. Or you could just head to your neighborhood Zaxby's. Introducing the Smokehouse Cheddar Barbecue and Southwest Chipotle Filet Sandwich Meals. They're brand new and they'll take your taste buds to wild and exciting new places. Both feature our famous hand-breaded chicken, and they're both available for a limited time. Only at your neighborhood Zaxby's. And don't miss Jumanji: The Next Level, only in theaters.